panel. We have Huma Mirza from Dubai. She runs a design studio, and she'll tell you a little bit more about it. We have Mo. What can I say? There's so much to say about him. He's a startup guru, and you'll get a lot of words of wisdom out of him. And we have Umar Akram, who's been defined as an innovator, and he'll talk to you about software, app development. And what I'd like you all to do is just introduce yourselves. Ladies first. Huma, go ahead.
So hi everyone, Salah. Firstly, thank you so much Lahore for all the love and hospitality. It's my first time here and I'm absolutely loving it. So I'm an interior designer and I have my own interior design company that's based in Dubai, UAE. Prior to that, I was in the UK and now I run my own business in Dubai and I'm visiting Lahore for the first time.
For the first time. So you cannot blame me for Karachi anymore, right? We're good.
I'm the Karachi girl.
Okay. Okay, my name is Salah. I run Startup Grind in both Jordan and Oman, and I usually run acceleration programs for startups, and that's at least for the last 3 years. And before that, I was running several other kind of programs for startups. Speaking of being a startup guru, the guy sitting next to me is a proper startup guru. Like I feel like I have a huge shoes to fill right now.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm an entrepreneur by heart. I started a tech company back in 2005 together with the first investor of Skype. And my co-founder, he runs another company. He's just there. He's going to give a key talk tomorrow. I'm also entrepreneur in residence in San Mateo at Draper University. And I run a venture studio in London where we focus on deep tech startups.
See?
Thank you all. So we are going to be talking about business brilliance and the art of growing globally. Now, these three panelists have a lot of exposure with the international world. And what I would like all of us to get out of this session is ideas and a path for yourselves in terms of when you're looking international. So, Huma, how do you find the competitive edge? What is it that you do? You're in a highly competitive industry and in Dubai, which there's a lot of competition in what you do. So what is it that you do differently that makes your business a success?
So, to be very honest, I think the fact that it is known as the styling duo is the fact that there are two minds in one space. So there are two ideas at the cost of one. So it's just not a design studio. It is known as we actually understand what the client wants. And then I have my own idea and my partner, my co-founder, has her own opinion. So the client is actually getting two visions of what they actually want. And then it's usually that what I have chosen and what my partner has chosen and a combination of that actually comes together. So for what works for us very well is the fact that we're a duo. And to be very honest, in this competitive world, I am a firm believer that I'm a keen learner. I don't stop learning. So recently, I did an online certification from Harvard Business School because to keep myself aware and to keep myself updated with my skill set, to be different, to stand out, I have to be updated with the world. So I constantly believe in learning.
Thank you, Huma. Being an educationist myself, learning never stops, and it's good to hear that. Mo, how important are partnerships and collaborations in creating successful ventures?
Thank you. That's a great question. But before I answer that question, I just want to ask everyone to put their hands together for Arzish, his family, the team. It's not easy to do what they're doing in the situation and the economical situation that Pakistan is in, and their ability to continue doing what they're doing regardless of what's happening. When they started all of that back in 2018 or 17, I think the situation was great, and I remember most of like major corporates and all of that being here. This time, last year was massive. This year was still like great, and like it's so easy for, and Arzish has the access to go everywhere. and he can go do this somewhere else. He does it in Lahore. He's so proud of his city. He's so proud of his people. We travel together to, on average of 10 countries maybe a year. He doesn't stop talking about Pakistan. We meet someone, the first thing Arzish would say is, hi, I'm from Pakistan, and we do this and this and this and this. And I want you to come to Pakistan. I want you to come see Pakistan. So hats off to him and to his team. Answering your question, I think in the context of startups, it's not only partnerships are essential, also using what the others have built is crucial. And because startups are very different as a business from any other form of doing business. And they have to build up I would say the initial thought of a startup is you have this prototype, minimum viable product that you're actually trying to test and get some traction to prove this actually works or not. Or if it doesn't work, you hear feedback and iterate and go back again to the market. What I see a lot of founders does, especially if they're coming from technical backgrounds, okay, I want to build this platform that fixes everything I hate about my bank. So they close the door on themselves for a year, build the greatest technical platform out there. Well, with zero customer feedback, zero market research, and yes, the problem they're trying to solve might be there. But in so many cases, it's my problem and my mom's problem. And this is not why we build startups. We build startups because initially we want to solve a problem that everyone in the world has. One. Two, that there's enough big market and enough amount of people who are willing to buy for it. To say a great example about that, how many of us struggle every night to pick a place to go out with our friends to, like, we have those WhatsApp groups, we have all these things. I think that's a problem half of the world has at least. Yet, no one is willing to pay for it. We have seen so many attempts to fix it. It didn't work. Simply people don't want to, it's not something people are going to pay for. So partnerships and using what others has built it's very, very essential because you need to launch today because you have limited amount of time and you have limited amount of money and you want to get as much traction possible before you go for your first round of funding. This is why I encourage startups not to only partner with others, whether corporates or startups, no, to go actually and take what the others built and incorporate it from day one. Imagine you want to build a tech company and you want to build your own servers, not using AWS. Or right now, you want to build a company that needs a generative AI, but it's not the core function of the business. And you come and tell me, no, okay, I'm not going to use OpenAI APIs. No, I'm actually going to go and build the AI for myself. Like you're technically somehow going to build OpenAI just to use it for a minor thing in your, if you want to do an AI business, yes, go and try build your models and all of that. But if you need a generative AI for a small function you have, no, just use the API. Let's launch and let's get customers and let's try to make money today if we can.
Thank you.
I think partnership is like for entrepreneurs, it's 4 components. First partnership is with the team, where you decide somebody who has a specific skill set and is aligned with your vision to move forward towards that path. That's your first part of partnership. Your second part of partnership is people you raise funds from, either a VC or angel investors. And the third one is, how do I get the distribution? I think that's the real mode here, which is the distribution. And strategic partnership, that third part of the component, is super important. So a lot of the time when entrepreneurs, they get an idea, an awesome idea, the market is untapped, but how do we get this product out? There's a playbook for that. I would take the analogy which Juha Christensen, he's an awesome guy. He's the chairman of Bang & Olufsen. I don't know any one of you who knows that brand. He's a great friend of ours. He was on my boat too. So he always says, Umar, they're like, fundamental is there's an end game, and entrepreneurs need to know their end game. And then there's a path towards that end game. And there's a playbook for that path. Strategic partnerships are the key enabler towards that path. So let me give you a very simple example. When me and Babar, who's sitting over there, we started an app store technology company back in 2005. There was no app store. iPhone did not existed. Google Play Store was nowhere there to be seen. And when we identified the problem and we said we're going to build a product to cater the users who are facing this problem, how do we take this product out? Strategic partnerships. So who are the players who can distribute my product to millions of other people? Oh, it's telecom companies, companies like Vodafone, T-Mobile. Oh, it's system enablers like Ericsson, Samsung, etc., who already have a massive reach and the audience to cater for our product. These three ingredients are super important for any entrepreneur. And whenever you're building a business, you need to have a distribution. And it depends on case to case, but in the major use cases, you need big companies, big players who are taking your product in their luggage because it's adding a certain value to their user base to create that humongous business which you want to build.
Thank you. You know, in my earlier life, I was a consumer goods marketeer. Now I'm in education. And one of the most important things that, we had to do was understand the consumer. And Umar, I'm going to start with you, and I'd like both of your other panelists to also contribute. In this world, you started way back, and I've, read up about you and been really impressed at your journey. Today, I'm a techie, excuse my, colloquialism, but I'm a techie, and I have this idea about this app. And we know that a lot of apps go into process, into development, and then don't end up anywhere. In today's world, how important is it to understand, and how do you do it, what the end user wants? Or in today's world, we really don't know what the end user wants.
Yeah, I think product app is the latter part of the equation. The first part is to solve a problem and find a certain niche which people are looking for, but nobody is catering, and there's a big market for it. That's like super important for that. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs doing a classic mistake. You're not trying to solve a problem. You're trying to fit in a solution in the problem. That's not category leaders. Category leaders are those who are not only coming up with a better solution, but unorthodox way of scaling that business. So when I talk about that, think about Airbnb. That's a category designing business. It's not about, hey, I'm going to build a SaaS enterprise marketplace for developers to use my tools. It's not, oh, I'm going to build a D2C marketplace to help people have a better shave, etc. Category design is a very specific where not only you are identifying what people are looking for, but they're not aware of it. So in terms of app development, the basic with any kind of business is what kind of problem you're solving and how big is that problem and how scalable is that. Because app development nowadays is not expensive, to be honest. Like it's peanuts. You can use so many like automated tools out there. Figma is doing a brilliant job where you as a designer can go in, design, and use the components in to transform them into the code. There are no coding tools out there for you to build the apps. So there's less friction now to build the apps, etc. So you see, like there's a long tail of apps at the App Store. There are millions of apps, but the long tail is the one which never gets untouched. It's never discovered. These apps, hundreds and thousands of them, they're lying on the App Store and nobody uses those apps. Why people don't use those apps? There are multiple factors to that. One is you have not figured out the first part, which we touched upon, which Mo mentioned, was distribution. You haven't really nailed the distribution. You have solved the problem, but you're failing to distribute it. And then very importantly, it's not super related to this, but timing. Timing is also super important when you're launching an app. Are the market circumstances favorable for your business, for your product to get out, or not? In a nutshell, user is the king. The customer is the king. Customer is the one which not only adds value back to us by using our product in terms of the transactional value, but it's also, and then another super important thing is to build a moat for your app. Moat is like defensibility. How do we build defensibility when you're launching an app and you want to get out? You build on defensibility by putting a fence around your product. Because Tommy sitting in Texas, Ali sitting in Karachi might be working on the same idea, same kind of app, etc. So you need to always be ahead of the curve where you're giving less chances for the others to catch up with you in terms of app distribution, landscape, etc.
Yes, we're waiting for you, Mo.
It's very hard to
You know,
I covered almost everything.
but he covered.
No,
from-
I'll definitely
Okay.
say something. But like
How-
I was just
from a
joking.
startup perspective, sometimes I would feel that keeping the end user in mind, keeping the customer in mind, keeping the consumer in mind is a bit lost, and the idea is the big idea.
I think the biggest issue with startups when it's come to users is they're trying to service everyone. And I think I'm a huge believer in a niche in general. I don't like businesses that are for everyone. I'm a huge Adidas fan only because of originals. I feel special about them. The regular Adidas line, I feel it's for everyone. I don't like it. Same goes for every major company we deal with today. If we look at Tesla, this is most probably the most prominent, the most growing brand in the world, despite all what's going on with their founder. If we look at a brand from a millennial can come and say they flourished, I've seen the start and all the stages of it. If you look at it today, they have a niche. If we look at Apple, despite very funny, they have like 1 billion devices out there, they still have a niche. So I think when it comes to users, a niche. And that group, Simon Sinek, one of my favorite authors, described them as early adopters. When you're starting as a startup, let's say we're not at the stage of distribution yet. We haven't figured a product market fit yet, or a model that works. Because sometimes you have a nice product, but you're unable to, for example, find the right business model for it. That's a product that still technically doesn't have product market fit because we're not ready or we're unable to monetize it. So if you're at the stage before that, find those 10 customers who are willing to do whatever in the world for you, who are willing to stand 8 hours under the rain while everyone is laughing at them to get the first iPhone. Those are the ones you have to start with from a customer's perspective.
But then, sorry to cut you, but then you also need to do your research and you have to do your investigation that you have that kind of product or that kind of service that niche is actually willing to go that extra mile for you. So that research, I think a lot as an entrepreneur, you have to first spend your time in research, in identifying the actual problem and finding the right solution for it. And then you focus on the niche and then comes the scalability. So I think for that 8-hour wait.
I think the first iPhone was too simple and was doing 3 jobs, and Steve Jobs was like repeating them. The whole speech, a phone, a music player, technically an iPod, and an internet communicator. The first version of iPhone did not have an app store. Next to the niche is what is the one feature they need right now, and let's delay rest. Make sure we perfect that one, which is if we take the iPod before the iPhone, there is one problem that device was solving is basically we don't want to carry CDs, we don't want to carry a big device. It's one device, 1,000 songs. And that's the whole purpose, like, because the CD back then was doing like 10 songs, I guess.
Yeah.
So one feature, and then you keep building on. And the other thing why you keep building on is because in today's world, startups are no longer allowed to burn money. Are we allowed to burn any money anymore?
No, no,
Not anymore.
Not in the current circumstances.
Not anymore. So let's say I find my 10 first customers, and right now they need a music player. I give them a music player. The second thing for the same exact 10 is a phone. I give them the phone. And the third thing is an internet communicator. I give them the internet communicator. The most of startups' money goes to two places: their staff, and there is ways to be efficient there, but you cannot make it zero. But with customers and with retention and a lot of businesses, not only startups. Oh, we're acquiring new customers. Yay. Oh, and how many of them are you retaining? Because if imagine Uber, for example, everyone uses the app, uses the app for 2 trips, and then deletes the app or stop using it. No matter how low their customer acquisition cost goes, there is still going to be losing, because you cannot keep spending money on customer acquisition. So if you can find the right niche, keep building for the same niche, and you don't go out of the niche until you come to this point where, you know what, they need 10 things and I've delivered the 10 things. Right after that, at this point, yeah, go and find new groups of customers, and definitely while doing that, do everything he said.
I think you know what, you mentioned a very great point, which is discovery. We call it customer discovery even before. Let's forget the niche even, which is fundamental. That's super important. But customer discovery. So a lot of the time when entrepreneurs come and pitch to us, we have a very standard question, which is, have you spoken with 100 people? Is there a need?
That's where we go wrong as entrepreneurs, and that's where startups fail. It's because we haven't done our groundwork, we haven't done our research.
Decoding, fixing your problem and your mom's problem.
And then the niche is super important too, but you have to be very careful. You don't want to build a feature. You're building a set of feature which other people are not catering for. Because if you're going to only build a feature, then somebody's going to come and replicate it. A big player comes in the market and makes you totally obsolete. Let's take the example of Nokia. Back in 2005, if you go back, Nokia was one of the biggest companies in the world. And if you look at Nokia now, where is it standing? So customer discovery, and then there's the niche, which is super, super important.
Can I tell you a
but
fun
the last
fact?
what I want to talk about one thing which is super important. A lot of the entrepreneurs, they say, hey, in order to get the product market fit, we need a product. I'm totally anti-product.
Yeah.
I'm saying, list 15 great problems which you have observed or come from experiences and surroundings. Put up a landing page, a funnel page, and then go and sell. And then you build the product. Instead of wasting your energy and time building a product in a niche, when you take it to the market, the niche has become obsolete. Somebody else, a bigger player, price.com, booking.com has taken over, and it's not worth. So there's a playbook of doing things, and there's so much, internet brings so much freedom. There's so much distribution out there which can teach you all these things, and we don't need to emphasize on that.
Thank you. I think, two great examples to focus on: Apple, which started off with the first version and has evolved continuously. Absolutely keeping the consumer in mind, looking at what the consumer needs. As Mo said, they didn't have a lot of features in the first version. And then look at Nokia. There's a lot of discussion at the back there. And then we look at Nokia and we don't see them anywhere. And I think it's
Can I say something,
continuously.
a fun fact about Nokia?
Yeah.
Nokia still holds the highest 4 places in history for most sold phones. This is how big Nokia was.
Yeah.
Up until today.
Was.
With everything iPhone did, still the most sold 4 phones in history are Nokia phones.
Okay. And I think we can move on a bit, and I'd like you, Huma, to share some light on, this whole concept of growing globally. You can be sitting in Pakistan and you can be thinking global. And I think that's what a lot of youngsters here need to know and talk about. It's a different stage, it's a different stage for them. The international world, what does it mean to make, to run a company based on certain standards? Can they from here be doing it to service different markets, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's the US? And I'd like each one of you to contribute to that. So, Huma, would you like to start?
Sure. I think growing globally has now become very, very easy and very accessible thanks to internet. Coming from a service industry myself, I think before I can think of myself growing globally, it's through word of mouth. It's all on the internet. There are reviews, there's word of mouth where people are talking about my company. So yes, it has become very accessible as it was back in the day. However, I do feel that it does come with its set of challenges. We all want to grow global, but we also have to keep all the exogenous factors in mind. For example, when COVID struck for my own company, it was very challenging because it was something that I wasn't very familiar with the technology myself, and I had to change the whole nature of my business. And that's when I actually started making videos and educating people how they can stay in their own space and beautify it, and giving them ideas, is when I realized the reach I have through internet and through technology to reach different markets, to speak to people in different parts of the world. So for me to grow globally, it was very, for a service, it was very easy because it was all through the internet. However, I do feel that it's also that one has to take the right decisions at the right time. So it's all taking about the effective decisions and building an efficient team and making sure that your team is performing efficiently. You can't be doing everything and micromanaging it all. So in order to go global, you have to, build on partnerships, build a strong team, and be aware, do a market research of wherever you want to target your audience or whichever industry you're targeting. And then from there on, you can just reach people there, get their opinions, and see how it is. Because startups, businesses are limited with funds, especially in the current economic times. Globally, be it any industry, be it any country, we may say that, oh, this country is booming, the economy is booming. Every country is facing its set of own challenges. So to rather than have, it's great to have a big vision, but I would strongly recommend on first doing the ground research, building a strong team, and then from there on taking it on.
If we're talking about startups, I would say fundamentally you have to have a business model that allows you to sell globally. So
So that's from day one. That should be the mindset.
that's a technical part of the business, and then you have the mindset itself. And unfortunately, it doesn't exist in so many markets. That's their founders' claim that you want to sell globally. I don't want to mention Israel now because now is not the right time, but I can use another example. Ukraine, for example. I can assure you, you and most probably most of people here have, on average, 5 apps that are made in Ukraine that you guys don't even know they're made in Ukraine. They're still operating in Ukraine as we speak. How many people here use Grammarly? Oh, wow. All of you guys are using a Ukrainian company, one of the greatest Ukrainian companies ever. Or Headway, for example. So if those companies from day one, Grammarly from day one had a sales team in the United States. From day one had a sales team in London. And they have offices in several places. Every single developer in the company is in Ukraine. They moved to Warsaw after the war. Headway is exactly the same. And it can go on and name other companies. Spark, the most rewarded mail client by Apple on Apple Store. Also every single developer in Ukraine. And in countries like Pakistan, the opportunity is insane. If I want to hire 100,000 developers in Pakistan, I can actually do that. I can take over the world with 100,000 developers, I guess. And I can hire world-class developers here. What I cannot hire here is someone who can sell my product in San Francisco, in London. That person has to be in San Francisco. That person has to meet with people. That person has to network with people. So have the mindset that you're building for the world. So when you come bitch to me as an investor, or you go to an acceleration program, or even to the clients, do not come and say, hi, we've built that in Pakistan. No, no, no. We've built that for the world. We're changing the world. We love hearing that. It's not like it's a product for a specific group of people. So yeah, have this mindset. I'm building for the world. I'm solving a problem for the world, and I'm changing the world in this specific way. And then, as I said, a business model that allows you to sell to everyone. Everyone here have Grammarly because they can pay for Grammarly, regardless of where they are in the world. If, let's say, for example, if Grammarly does not accept, they don't have their integration with Stripe, most of their customers wouldn't have been able to do that. And going back to the first thing I said in the beginning, having that partnership with Stripe is what allowing them to distribute and collect payment. You could have went on like, oh, let's build our own payment gateway, and that would have meant they will have to go to every single market in the world and try to get a central bank approval on that payment solution. So yeah, this is what allows you to grow. You do local partnerships that allow you to distribute. You have the mindset. You build definitely technology that is unifying. The YouTube I use, the same one as you're using, the same one he used, the same one everyone is using in the world. This is what gets you to global products and to global markets. I hope I wasn't that too technical.
No, that was great. Omar?
Yeah, so I think I would put the antithesis that you don't really need to go globally and think globally, because when you talk about a global product, I'm looking at something like WhatsApp, a piece of software built by not more than 20 engineers, 19? 19 to be precise, thank you. So that kind of product, a soft piece of software which can be distributed globally without any barriers, then of course you need to look into localization of support, the customer support, a lot of the time, the global ambition is not really actually global, it's regional. So you're building a startup in Pakistan, and then you find out that people in adjacent countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan are facing the same problem, etc. So you want to grow into those markets, those adjacent markets. If you do not have a unique product like WhatsApp or sort of like a social network or like even a SaaS product, and when you were thinking about a global product, then there are so many factors overplay. And I can see there's a board which is called Time is Over, so I'll just cut it short here.
Do we have time for questions? I guess not, since we've seen the card. Parting words of advice, one sentence to the audience.
So what I would like to say is that if you have a dream, if you have a vision, and if you're very passionate about it, you should go for it. Don't second guess your instincts, your passion, because it takes, you need to have that drive. It's just not your logic or your business idea that's going to get you what you want. It's actually your drive and your passion. So, 3 years ago when I started my company, I didn't know that it would become where it is, and I put in a lot of hard work. So yes, hard work, build your team, and go for it.
If you start your own business, the journey is tough. You have to be insanely crazy to decide to do that yourself. The journey is lonely, and it's hard. So get ready and put your expectations in the right place.
Yeah, so I'm going to just read a pledge, and this is from Draper University. Many of you would know about Tim Draper. Tim Draper is a brilliant investor, a legendary investor, third-generation investor. who invested in SpaceX, Tesla. So at Draper University in San Mateo, we run 2 cohorts, one for winter and one for summer. And I would encourage you to apply, go to Draper University and apply. We often have startups from Pakistan who join us, and we read a pledge. And I'm just going to read that pledge for you because Tim is a keen believer, and so are we in this, which is, I will promote freedom at all costs. I will do everything in my power to drive, build, and pursue progress and change. My brand, my network, and my reputation are paramount. I will set positive example for others to emulate. I will instill good habits in myself, and I will take care of myself. And most importantly, I will fail and fail again until I succeed.
Brilliant. Thank you. I think we're going to be shooed off the stage soon. So thank you to the audience and thank you to this lovely panel. I hope you got an opportunity to learn a lot more and, feel free to reach out to everyone outside. Thank you.